Major Garrett joins us now from Washington. Major, as we mentioned, Donald Trump is planning on spending big money on big ads in the early voting states, Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina. He's on top of the polls despite his rivals outspending him in that area. So why do you think he's spending money now? And also, who do you think should be the most concerned of those GOP rivals?
Well, they should all be concerned because Trump is at the top, and if he puts together a decent ad campaign, it will likely assist him in maintaining his front-runner position. Why would Donald Trump spend the money? Because A, he has the money to spend, and B, he knows voters are really moving toward that stage of the caucus process in Iowa and the primary process in New Hampshire of getting down to their final decision-making process. And he wants to be not only a part of that conversation through rallies and other appeals, but through the most traditional means possible. Television communication. I'm sure there'll be a social media component as well on Facebook, Twitter, web ads, the whole routine. And so Trump knows that this is showtime. This is when voters are really going to make their final decisions, and he wants to talk to them in a more traditional way. And he has the money to spend it. He told reporters yesterday, by this time of the campaign, he had budgeted an ad budget of $35 million. He hasn't spent any. So he says, I'm ahead of schedule. I'm the front runner, and I'm under budget. That's the way I like to run my campaigns. That's the way he said I would be as American president. Whether or not that's true or not, nobody knows. But what we do know is he's in a position to spend money, and with that money being spent on the airwaves in Iowa, New Hampshire, and South Carolina, he has an opportunity to buttress his front runner status. And he told reporters yesterday he doesn't want to lose momentum or take the risk of not spending money to keep him number one.
Yeah, I suppose until this point, I mean, really with all the headlines he's been making, he hasn't had to spend the money. One of the interesting pieces that you brought up in your story there, Major, that I found interesting was that candidates other than Trump are now attacking one another. You have Bush, you have Christie. With just a month until the Iowa caucuses, can they really afford to divert their attention away from Donald Trump, the frontrunner?
What this tells us is they cannot afford to wait any longer to start dealing with each other because they have decided something structurally about the campaign, something that they thought would never happen. That is to say, Trump's not going anywhere, Trump's likely to remain the front runner, and they have got to try to battle for the establishment or mainstream alternative to Donald Trump. And by this I mean Jeb Bush, Chris Christie, John Kasich, Marco Rubio. Now, Rubio is not attacking back. He will defend himself, but he's going to try to stay in a lane of not attacking his opponents. That's the place he has been all this campaign. That's the place he believes is safest for him. But Jeb Bush started attacking Marco Rubio. Chris Christie did. John Kasich did. They all thought that they would hold fire against one another, waiting for Trump to fall and then try to move up. But Trump's not falling, and time is running out. So what do you do if you are in these campaigns? You have to try to find some way to get attention, to get oxygen, and scrap for more percentage points in the polls. You can't do that against Trump. It doesn't really help you to go after Ted Cruz. So now these establishment so-called or mainstream alternatives to Trump are duking it out amongst one another, and that's going to be ugly for them. But someone's going to emerge, and the fight for that emergence has already begun.
Yeah, I guess if we thought it was interesting before, can't wait to see what the next month brings. Major Garrett in Washington, thank you.
You got it.